Good morning. Today, we're here to talk about sealer. What is it? How to use it? What's its limitations? And what does it actually do? What is it? What is sealer? I got a little demonstration I'm prepared to share with you about why you would want to use a sealer. How absorptive is natural stone? We have two different pieces of stone and two dry pieces of paper towel, and I'm going to put just a little bit of water on the paper towels and let it sit on top of the stone so we can demonstrate the difference in porosities between stones. So we're just going to set these off to the side and talk a little bit about sealer. What is sealer? Sealer is a penetrating liquid that's designed to evaporate and then leave behind a residue, and it's that residue that actually does the sealing. Most of the sealer is either water or solvent that is designed to evaporate or be wiped away, leaving the suspended solids behind to do the actual work of sealing. Let me show you what the residue looks like after the solvent or water has been evaporated or wiped away. Here's two dishes that I put some sealer in, set it out in the sun in the summertime, and let it evaporate, the solvent, the water. What's left behind, in this case, this manufacturer, you can actually see it's like a waxy film, much like a candle wax. This is actually a silicone-based active ingredient sealer, while this is actually much more brittle and hard. This residue, I poured the solvent, the sealer, in this dish and just let the sun on a hot day evaporate the carrier, the solvent, and what's left behind is translucent, very brittle, very hard, and without becoming a chemistry lesson, what you can see is that this active ingredient is almost gelatin in consistency and rubbery, while in this case over here it's much harder and brittle. When either of these particles are allowed to bond to the stone inside of the stone, actually inside the pores of the stone, they seal the stone from other liquids that can stain the stone, such as wine, or soy sauce, or soapy water, or any staining agent you'd find in a kitchen. The residue that's left behind is made up of either silicone, mixed fluoroalkali salts, or siloxane. Now, this depends upon the manufacturer and their particular formula. Without becoming a chemistry lesson, the purpose of this video is to help you understand what sealer is and how to apply it and when. Most commercially available stone sealers work like this. Here's some sealer. First, the liquid is poured onto the surface of the stone. And you want to agitate and shake it to actually suspend the active ingredient inside of the liquid carrier, whether that is a solvent or a water-based sealer. And the surface that you're going to prepare, you want to allow it to sit on there pretty thick and spread it evenly. Not a real thin film. You actually want it to be somewhat thick. And you want to use a paintbrush or a paint applicator, not a paper towel. If you use a paper towel, the paper towel will actually wick up the active ingredient that you're trying to leave behind. If you allow this sealer to sit on and penetrate into the stone, and gravity is going to pull the solids into the stone, penetrating the surface. The solution itself evaporates or is wiped away, leaving behind a film of solids. But that film of solids is not left on the surface. It's left inside the pores and the microscopic crevices of the stone. The residue on the surface, after a dwell time of, follow the manufacturer's instructions, but typically between 10 and 20 minutes, it dwells or sits there, penetrates into the stone, much like this water has clearly penetrated into this stone, and it's left behind a dark residue. While on this stone, at the same time, same cup of water, it's done nothing, and that's because this stone is much more porous than this stone. This stone may have a resin finish on it, while this one certainly does not. Applying a sealer to this stone, allowing it to dwell, wiping off the excess, following the instructions, would prevent the penetration of water into the surface of the stone. Well, not just water, but wine or soy sauce or mayonnaise or oil, what have you. Now, that's not a guarantee of stain prevention, but it absolutely gives you more time to wipe up before it gets a chance to penetrate. Whereas in this case, this particular stone and how it's been prepared is much less vulnerable to staining. Clearly, this has only been here for a few minutes, the duration of this video so far, and the difference is very clear. The penetrated film needs a period to cure before applying a second coat to fill up all the crevices and the pores completely. The most common mistakes made are using the wrong tools to apply the sealer. Remember, only a small portion of the sealer is actually an active ingredient doing the work. Those suspended particles are attracted to rags, paper towels, and will cling to them like a metal chip to a magnet. It's very, very important to use a nylon brush or a paint edging tool, as the nylon bristles have no attraction to the active ingredient that you're trying to apply to the stone. So remember, wear safety gloves, goggles, follow the manufacturer's instructions for the sealer. If you should buy the sealer at a Home Depot or a Lowe's, there will be directions directly on the bottle of sealer. And they all work very similarly in that you agitate, shake them, spread it out, put it on relatively thick. Do not use paper towels, and then just wait for it to penetrate into the stone before you remove with a paper towel or a cloth, whatever the manufacturer's direction says, the excess. Ventilation may be an issue. You want to pay attention. The water-based sealers are really pretty safe to use, while the solvent-based ones, there is an evaporation of solvents in the air, so ventilation is important, especially if you're prone to headaches. From that, much like any paint product, you want to open windows and doors and ventilate adequately. Now, sealer will prevent staining and will buy you time to clean up your spills. It's not going to last forever, and it's not going to make the stone stain-proof. It's going to make it stain-resistant. Not proof, not a guarantee, not 100%, but it's going to extend that period of time before a stain penetrates exponentially. It will afford you the protection from most stains and will allow you to enjoy your stone's natural beauty. Sealing is not a hard, durable coating. It does not make stone polished. It doesn't make it shiny. It's not thick. It will not fill a scratch. No matter how many coats you put on it, sealer is not a scratch cure. It doesn't increase the shine. The residue left behind is microscopic in thickness. In fact, the sealer isn't even on the surface. Much like this water, it's inside the stone. I'm going to take these away now and use a paper towel to mop up that water from the surface, and you can really see that even though there's no water on the surface, the water is actually inside the stone. And that's exactly how a stain works. It gets inside, not on top of. So a lot of people call us up and have questions and are under the impression that the sealer is going to make the stone shiny. It's going to increase the polish, and it's going to fill pits or scratches. They are hoping that something as simple as a topical sealer is going to cure their stone's physical malformation or chip. And it just isn't. That's not what it is. It's microscopic, and it's inside, not on the surface of the stone at all. In fact, it would wear off pretty quickly if it just left on the surface. Exposure to prolonged direct sunlight, harsh detergents, solvents, and acids degrade sealer's effectiveness. It is very easy to test when sealer needs to be applied. When the stone absorbs water, it'll absorb liquid staining agents. And you can see this one right before our eyes is already starting to dry out. What's actually happening is gravity's pulling that water inside the stone deeper, and pretty soon you won't see it at all, and it will eventually dry out. Stone typically darkens when it absorbs water. And you can see the difference between sealed and unsealed stone. The unsealed stone is dark and the sealed stone is light and appears dry, even though water might actually be on the surface. That's it for today. so you could see all about sealing. Give us a call if you have any questions at 610-444-7200. Thank you.